All right, everybody. This is SANDCAST, Beach Volleyball with Tri Bourne and Travis Mawerder, and we got a fellow writer on the show today.
Wow.
Miss Kim Smith, soon to be Miss Kim Sherman.
That's right. I think I'm going to take his name even though there's a few extra letters in there. You know, when your name is Smith your whole life, it's kind of exciting to do something that you're going to have to spell.
Yeah.
Kim Smith's a little vanilla, so I think I'll do it.
Your initials stay the same.
Exactly, so
nice.
it's nice and easy. Yep, we're both still going to be S, which is nice, so yeah.
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 What a fun time. The
I know.
fiancé period is a blast.
Really fun.
Yeah, really.
Yeah. Yeah, it's fun. Just everybody's so happy for you, and like, you know, we're going to go home this weekend. I'm from Indianapolis, and we'll go back and start looking at, you know, just places, and also just like being with our families. His parents are going to come up, so it's just like so celebratory, and everything's really fun. Yeah. I'm
How
super
often
excited.
does your family get out here?
Since COVID, not during that entire time. And then I have a brother and a sister. Both of them have kids.
Okay.
So I have 6 nieces and nephews. They're all 7 or younger.
Okay.
So since they had kids, they've only come out a few times. I think my sister came out once with my nephew, and then my brother and sister-in-law came out with their 2 oldest when they were little. But now that there's more, it's just hard. So not very
Big
often.
family.
Yeah.
That's fun.
Yeah, it's really fun.
No shortage of selection for flower girls. And
Oh, yeah, no, we're going to have 6. They're all going to be in it because I can't pick.
Flower girls?
Well, there's 2 flower girls and 4 ring bearers. Okay. And frankly, 2 of the ring bearers are probably not going to make it down the aisle. They're all walking, but they're not really like walking in a straight line yet.
Yeah.
So it might be 2 and 2, which will be perfect.
You let them go, and then if they veer off, and like, someone in charge just grab them.
Exactly.
Take them out.
Both of it, like their parents are in the wedding, so hopefully they go to mom and dad. But the problem is like mom and dad can't then go wrangle, so we're gonna have to recruit like grandparents or something. It's gonna be an all hands on deck thing.
I've seen it done.
Yeah, it'll be cute. I'm really excited.
Either way, it's cute.
Yeah.
If they throw a tantrum. It's
Exactly.
That's cute. All right, now get them away.
Yeah.
And the memory will be hilarious. And then
Exactly.
you can hold it over them when they're like 20.
Yeah. Whenever something goes wrong at a wedding, I feel like that makes it better.
Yeah.
Like those are the things you remember.
Right.
If it goes smoothly, it's like, oh, what happened at that wedding?
Right.
But yeah.
It's funny. I was reading, do you read Outside Magazine?
I don't know.
I love Outside Magazine, but they were talking about there's 3 different types of fun, and there's one type of fun that's like, it's a really kind of a gnarly trip that's really fun in retrospect.
Yes.
Or like a backpacking
gosh,
trip
that's
or
true.
something where in the moment it's kind of miserable, and then in retrospect, like what a blast that was.
Yeah.
I feel like a lot of stuff with weddings is like that.
Yes.
Where you're like, oh, that planning for the wedding was so fun, would never do it again.
Right.
Yeah, I can totally romanticize everything in the past and just not really want to be there though.
Yeah.
Yeah. Well, we're there now. It's actually pretty fun so far, but we're only a weekend, so
Yeah.
I know the craziness is yet to come.
Yeah.
Yeah.
How did you and Mark even meet?
We met the night the Cubs won the World Series at a bar that we've never been back to. We are not bar people. But we were all just there, like group of friends went, watched it. And that was the game that like went super long, extra innings. So we were together for like a few hours and just kind of talked. Only friends for like 6 months. And then we became like really close friends. And then obviously like through the AVP, like we would just travel to all the tournaments together and like hang out all the time, mutual friends, same groups and stuff. And then after like a year and some change, we started to date. And 3.5 years later, here we are.
Just the AVP media power couple.
We try, man. We both of us, because I wasn't a writer when we first started like dating, but neither one of us wanted to date within the AVP. Because it's like dating your coworker. Like if you break up, what happens? Like he's so present at the tournaments, and I was playing at the time, so it's like, oh my gosh, we break up, and then he announces me on stadium court, like I'm gonna tank. So we really took our time, made sure that it was the right thing.
Yeah.
Sure enough, it was. So
That's awesome.
Yeah, ended up being a good thing. Yeah.
I'd say so.
I never thought about that.
Yeah.
It's like, oh, I'm Kim.
Yeah, exactly. Girl who broke my heart. 6'3" from Zionsville, Indiana. Yeah, so we really wanted to make sure that everything was going to work out.
And here we are.
Here we are.
Happy ending.
Exactly. And now it's, maybe even worse if we were to break up when I was a writer, but again, everything worked out.
Next up, scathing column on the AVP.
Yeah, exactly. We're like sitting next to each other in the DJ booth, just like, you're too close to me, which that still sometimes happens, but with more love behind it.
Right.
Yeah. It's got to be so like kind of fun, especially for your family, because my family thinks it's hilarious that I do so much with beach volleyball, being from Maryland. I feel like Indiana has to be kind of similar.
Oh, yeah. Yeah, My parents we're a basketball family. Like,
Okay.
everybody knows the rules to basketball. Most of us played. I actually played until high school, and then I switched. They still, like, sort of know the rules, but they don't really know the difference between, like, a double and a lift, or, like, maybe know that beach is to 21 and indoors to 25 on a given day. So they love volleyball. They love that I'm doing it, but it's kind of nice that they're not so knowledgeable, because then, like, volleyball is not really a part of my relationship with my family at all. So it's kind of my own thing. And of course it's my relationship with Mark a little bit, but also, like, he's not playing when I was playing, and now neither one of us are. So it's kind of nice that I can compartmentalize. But yeah, I never ever thought I'd play beach. I didn't even really know it was a thing until I was in college.
Really?
Yeah, I mean, I knew, like, the Olympics I would watch, but I guess I didn't really, like, as a kid, you're not really clocking that they're playing all the time. Mm-hmm. You're just kind of like, oh, yeah, these people, a few of them play and they're great. But yeah, when I was in college, I went to Florida International in Miami, and it was before beach was NCAA. But they had a team and were doing, like, the club thing, and I didn't play on the team, but, like, I was friends with some of the girls. So one of them was moving out here, Jess Mendoza, and she was like, I have an extra room in the place I'm staying. Like, you should come.
Love it.
So yeah, I was kind of in between whether I was going to go overseas and play indoor, or, like, stay stateside and maybe try something different, like a real job or beach volleyball. And I was like, let's keep doing volleyball for a while. And then I fell in love, like, a week after I was here. So fun. And yeah, I played for 5 years. It's kind of hard because COVID, like, my last year was 2019. I don't really plan on playing anymore, so I guess I played, like, 4 seasons.
Yeah, had some good success too.
A little bit, yeah.
Yeah.
Every once in a while, it was nice.
Was it hard to give up, or what went into that decision? Because you were playing well.
Yeah, I felt like 2017, 2018, I was pretty steadily in the main draw, doing well, having so much fun. 2019 was kind of a rocky year. I was in between, like, lots of different partners and trying to, like, find my footing, I guess.
Mm-hmm. Trying to find somewhere to play, right?
Well, 2019 was before COVID.
Oh,
yeah.
19 was solid.
20 and 21.
Yeah.
Okay,
so 19, I was playing.
I
I had some success with Laura Dykstra, and we were, like, sitting 7th at Seattle. And then, I don't remember if you guys remember, that was the tournament. Her mom had a heart attack next to our court. And it was extremely traumatic to the point where, like, we didn't know if she was going to make it or not. So, of course, Laura left. Yeah. And, like, ever since that tournament, it was, like, kind of hard for us to, like, get back. And then so, like, I was kind of bouncing between different partners after that, and definitely planned to play 2020, and then COVID hit. I was the 20th team, and only 18 got in. Oh. So, but I was kind of glad.
Cup, right?
Yeah, the Champions Cup.
It's all coming back.
But I had this, like, piece about it. Yeah, exactly. 18 teams. I know. Oh my gosh, you're right.
Right, we've only played.
Yeah.
Yeah, it was just 3 events.
3
ago.
last year.
Well, yeah.
Yeah. So that was kind of like the tell, I guess, if I was going to be able to just work and not play. Because I started writing for the AVP in January of 2020. Mm-hmm. So obviously 2 months later, I'm writing a COVID article, and that's kind of been my entire tenure with them, has been, like, mixing in. Now it's a lot different, of course, but yeah, it's been kind of hard. There's only been 6 tournaments since I started writing 2 years ago.
That's crazy.
Yeah, so it'll be really fun to have a full season for me, because there's just so much more to talk about, more stories, more points, everything.
Yeah.
So yeah, the Champions Cup was a really good time for me to see if I would, like, be miserable not playing or have fun not playing, or a little bit of both. And I felt really good.
Yeah.
I loved it. It was kind of nice to, like, I mean, A, you know you're going to get a paycheck, which was really nice.
Yeah.
But also just, like, not the, I mean, there's a lot of mental preparation that goes into it, right?
Yeah.
Right.
So not having to do that, not having to, like, bring all my snacks and make sure I'm stretching and make sure I get to bed early, and like, it's really fun being a part of the staff, because, like, we don't have to worry about that. We go out and have a beer afterwards, and then, like, you know, stay out, go to bed late, wake up in the morning. It doesn't matter if you have, like, 2 coffees before noon to get going. Like, I don't have to worry about it. Yeah. So that's been really nice too. And then, like, the adrenaline, like, of playing and stuff I sort of miss, but also, like, the downside of that is, like, the low end. And I don't miss that at all.
The roller coaster ride.
Yeah.
The emotional volatility.
It's a lot steadier these days. And like I'm a big journaler. I journal online and I get these little like pings that says, this is what you wrote 2 years ago. And like during summer, my emotions in my journal are like teenage level, just like my highest highs and lowest lows.
Right.
Yeah.
And that's so fun, like in your 20s, but I'm kind of ready to like move on just because I never found the success that I really wanted, and that I wanted like the steadiness of it. It was that up and down of like the success I was having. I just like, I have so much respect for the people that can do that. I just don't feel like I'm there anymore, I guess. Yeah.
Well, and beach has been in a place where that steadiness, or the domestic tour, all of beach, but the domestic tour itself hasn't been able to like present a product to the athletes in the last, since 2007 or 8, to where like you don't have to really ride the highs and lows quite as much because there's a steady tour and you can maybe get 9th, 10th, and be like still making a living. Kind of thing, you know? But like since all of us have been playing, it's been like lose one and there's a 4th or 5th of your opportunities to play domestically. Or
that's really tough.
It might be.
Yeah.
It's like it's so intense. But now you're still a part of growing the sport to getting it to that point that we all kind of hoped and wish it was at.
Yeah.
So that's kind of cool. Like, you still get to be a part of it and have your hand in helping other players achieve that, I guess.
Yeah, exactly. It feels really right. I never really knew what I would do after volleyball, and I was not really fearful of it, but I just couldn't picture it. And this like fell into my lap so naturally. And then, I mean, obviously not grateful for the pandemic, but we're all looking for silver linings. And I think this is kind of one of them, that I was really forced into doing something different. And like, I think all of us had to evaluate. A lot of people moved on. A lot of people dug deeper and like worked harder.
Yeah.
And I think I kind of did somewhere in the middle, like where I just changed my role. And I do feel like I'm never going to make a huge difference as an athlete, but I could make a huge difference as like a writer or whatever else I might be. Like maybe not even writing, maybe it could evolve. Like I just feel really open to doing lots of different stuff in volleyball. And just always trying to grow the game.
Well, we need as many of those people as possible.
Yeah.
That's like a big reason why we do the podcast, is like
definitely
to help the sport along, and hopefully when we leave it, it's in a much better place. Well, hopefully while we're still playing.
Yeah, exactly.
The next few years would be real nice in the position that I'm in, but we're all. I feel like it's important that we all kind of understand. We all have to like do our part, not just complain every time. Like, I don't like that rule. And like, do nothing about it, or like don't help the sport in your own way. And it doesn't have to be big. You don't have to start a podcast, but I feel like we all kind of need that mental switch, like not being entitled to just everyone figuring it out for us.
I think that's huge.
Giving us a paycheck because I'm a pro. My Instagram says I'm a pro. Where's my paycheck?
Yes. It is funny. Like I feel like the people who are at the top have a lot of understanding of like how hard it is, and then like the people like in kind of the lower tiers, like those are some of the ones that I get some comments from where I'm like, wow, I don't understand why, like, where do you get the nerve?
Why do you think that you should get that?
Yeah, exactly. But like you said, I mean, really, it's all about growing the game. We all need to do our part in something. So like, that's the ultimate goal. And I'm hopeful with, I don't know a lot about like the Bally's buyout, but I am really hopeful that like with this huge conglomerate behind us, like the potential is just huge.
Yeah, it seems like that both internationally and domestically.
Yeah.
You know, like, it's very exciting times. I never get my hopes up until I see it there, for sure, because we've been through that way too many times.
Yep.
But yeah, I mean, there's no reason to not be excited or to be like pessimistic about it. Like, they're in it for the money. They're just gonna not care about us, and like, there's no reason to believe that. You know.
Yeah.
And I mean,
of course they're in it for the money.
If you're if Bally's is going to buy something, they are in it hopefully that the asset grows.
Right.
But if volleyball grows and it's beneficial for them, it's beneficial for the players.
Exactly.
And same thing, with CVC and volleyball world. They want the sport to get bigger. And if it doesn't get bigger, then they're losing money on their investment. So it is in their best interest to make the sport as big and good as possible.
And there were two like really kind of huge moves for both tours in the last year. So like there's no reason to be pessimistic. It all seems to be forward moving. And I mean, I think this is the first time the AVP was not bought out of bankruptcy since like the 90s or something, which is pretty great too. Like Donald and Steph put up with a lot, got us through COVID, and then got us into the hands of someone else. And so the athletes aren't reeling for 1 to 6 seasons where they don't know what they're doing. So that's exciting too.
I bet it was probably really interesting to go from as a player, you know, on the AVP to seeing like what goes on behind the scenes. That was probably eye-opening, I'd imagine.
Yeah, it was fun. I mean, I did have like the benefit of, just because I was dating Mark while I was still just a player, I was up in the DJ booth all like whenever I wasn't really playing. And so that side is just fun. I mean, you had some experience up there too.
Yeah, I got a little taste.
It's just fun. Like we're
fun.
up there.
Like a little family up
it's totally a family. Yeah. Like when Laura Day, Emily's sister, was working, like she's just dancing, and DJ Roche is like trying to get us all, like if someone's dancing, he's like, got her. And like producer Kelly is one of Mark's and my best friends. So like it really is fun up there. And then like the other side of it, like the marketing side, it's really fun to talk to the team is called Brand New. It's a company, like a marketing company. They're all just like really young, innovative, cool, like all of us working together, coming up with the content calendar, hearing kind of what their branding is and their hopes and everything. It's really cool to like see all these different smart people behind it and always trying to make it better. Yeah. So yeah, that's been fun to like kind of get that other side of it.
Yeah, and I feel like it always gives, like when players get a glimpse of it, it always gives them an extra sense of appreciation. Like,
yes.
There's a lot of work that goes into putting on an event than just saying, let's go to Clearwater this weekend.
Yeah.
Let's just do it. It's just so much work.
It's so healthy for me to see all that, for sure.
Yeah, that's a good point. I mean,
like listening to, or like being, you know, doing the broadcasting alone, I'm like, oh, that's like an art. It's not like, of course you can broadcast, like talk about volleyball, you know volleyball, it's just talk about it. Like, no, there's like timing and
yes,
like you have to speak with more energy, and like you're like pulling the energy of the crowd along, and then what Mark's doing is even gnarlier.
Yeah,
you're doing it like live in front of people, and yeah, that's the hardest job, I think.
Yeah, Mark's job terrifies me.
Right in the middle of the sand.
Yeah,
especially during live intros.
Yeah,
where you just can't miss a beat.
Yeah.
It's cool though to like see all that behind the scenes stuff, and then you hopefully gain a better appreciation for what everyone's doing, and then like see how you can contribute to it,
right?
Rather than like, what can I get from it?
Yeah, and that's what's interesting. Just always trying to like, when can I announce things? When is this date going to be set? Because I have as much anxiety about when the tour is coming out as anybody, because not only do I just want to know, but like I'm also planning my life around it. Sure. So I was like anxious for that stuff, but talking like the permits, the weather, the infrastructure, the people, you have to talk to the police, you have to talk to the water people. Like there's so many moving pieces because we're a moving tour. Right. And so yeah, that appreciation, I just like marvel at the people, like the core people who are putting it on, and then like the operations people who just work so hard at those tournaments. Yeah. Like I have a lot of respect for them.
Yeah, that's why I like the sport. I feel like beach volleyball, it attracts people who are sort of trying to avoid a standard job.
Yes.
Like, there's a lot of idea people. I love the doers. I love the people who just do stuff and create, like the McKibbins. Absolutely love them, because they just are like, well, let's just make a YouTube channel. We don't know what we're doing. Right. And now they're just massive. Yeah. And that's what I love, when people are like, make that transition from idea guy to someone who's just executing and doing. So many ideas
over the years. And every time I'm with Josh, I'm like, don't do it. He's already heard them all.
I know.
Just don't.
I wish Josh would just catalog some of those ideas, like the good to the bad. I'm sure he's had so many, and then so many ones that are no-brainers. It's like we're doing that, but thank you. Yes.
We've thought of that.
Yeah, exactly. We're actually doing that. Did you know? Like, I'm sure he gets that all the time.
Oh, for sure. And he can't tell. You know, he can't announce stuff or tell certain things. So he's like biting his tongue, like, yes, we've already done it.
Yeah.
Just please stop.
His job is wild.
It's a lot.
He keeps the players saying
utility man.
Oh my gosh, I do not know how he does it all.
Yeah.
It's exhausting. He does it well.
Yeah, for sure.
I know, like, anytime you start writing for a new place or take a new job, it takes a minute to kind of find the rhythm. Yeah. If you kind of settled in. Because you've had, like, 2 weird years.
Definitely weird years.
COVID was just so odd because the season was like, and it's gone in 3 weeks. Yeah. And last year was just the 3 events.
That was really interesting because that was quarantine, right? So it was like as much content as we can have is great. So at that point I was doing like silly stuff like what are the athletes doing, or like here's a quarantine workout, stuff like that. But also trying to keep people up to date on what was happening with the Olympics, what was happening with the tour, what was happening. Like we were shutting things down kind of one at a time. And so I was sort of on that too. And then as like from, March, whatever to June, that's not that long. And that's when they were figuring out the tour too. So I was talking with them a lot. What are we going to do? How do we brand this? So that was like kind of a blur. And then the Champions Cup series was great for me. Like got so much content and all of that. It was really nice to establish myself like on site as the writer and like interviewing people. During the qualifier, I was helping people film. And I think people just kind of like saw me as like not an athlete, as an AVP staff person, writer. So yeah, that was really nice. And then it was a little bit different moving into 21, but it still kind of felt the same. Like I still didn't really have that much like tour stuff, like tournament stuff to talk about. So it was a lot of athletes. Yeah. Like, let's talk about what workout this person's doing. We have like a few different series that we kind of revisit, like Reach the Beach, like how did you get out here? Or working overtime, like the people like Sheila Shaw, who has a full-time job and who also is like making it to Championship Sunday, like people like that. So that's been really fun to implement all that stuff. Recently, I've just kind of like sent out a bunch of emails to different people. Like, I kind of want you to write whatever you want because that's so fun for me. Right, like, I think it's good to have different voices. Like Taryn Cloth just wrote something that's like, what drives me? And it's just like all of kind of her story, but all of these failures that she kind of pushed through and all of these setbacks. And it was just awesome. Right. So that's been fun too, to like recruit more people to speak into the AVP and like, tell their own stories too.
That's a great way to, like one thing we think about a lot, and McKibbin's obviously are like building all their stuff around is building, or allowing the audience to see the players as individuals and building up their stories so that people can pick and choose and know the athletes so that they can build these fan bases so people aren't just showing up to the beach like, ooh, volleyball. Like, no, I'm pulling for that guy.
Yes, exactly.
That girl, because I can relate and whatnot. And, and doing that, I mean, obviously you writing the stories about them helps, but them writing it.
It's even better. Yeah, like, I love, like, I think you wrote it from my perspective, and that was actually the first piece that I wrote for the AVP before I was a writer. And, like, it's really freeing to also get your story out there.
Totally.
And then so for them, it's really fun. But then for our readers, like, if I'm reading something about Michael Jordan, I'm a lot more interested than when I'm reading. Like, I want to read his voice more so. So I know that, like, they can tell a story that I can't. And so, that's been really fun to read those. And, I've talked to the McKibbins a few times about storytelling, and they've kind of inspired me to do that. And then especially with the tour series this year, there's going to be a whole slew of new people that are winning tournaments. Yeah. And doing well in tournaments, going deep, getting into the, the main draw of the pro series. So we're trying to highlight those athletes too, like kind of predict the up and comers, but then also just kind of, I'm like a qualifier player at heart, so I love them. And so like reaching out to all those people that like I know are such grinders and work really hard and have potential to do well. Yeah. So trying to tell their stories too has been really fun. Yeah. Yeah.
I think one thing that's going to be interesting this year is if you win a tour series, would you consider yourself an AVP champion?
I know.
Because then like it's not going to be a full field. And like if I win one, I wouldn't. But I think that there are probably a lot of people out there who I think would say, I want an AVP. And they're not wrong. Yeah. Right? Because it's an AVP tour stop. But it's like...
We need longevity within this system, Yeah. So that when you say, I want an AVP tour, like people know what you're talking about.
Right.
Rather than a... What are we calling it? Sorry, there's so many names.
Tour series.
Yeah.
Tour's
the lowest, then pro, then gold.
Pro.
Yeah.
Yeah, like pro and gold, or you want an AVP.
But it's interesting. Hopefully it gets to the point one day where it's like the PGA or tennis, right? Where like if you win a Grand Slam, that's amazing. Right, but also if you win a tournament, that's pretty cool too.
Oh, yeah, totally.
I think that's what they're trying to grow it to. And then like the Gold Series is like our Grand Slam or our majors. Like those are the big ones that are really significant. Yeah. And then the other ones still, I guess we're in that growing phase right now. Yeah. So that's a really good question.
Yeah. I dig it though.
I mean, they're bigger than an AVP Next, but smaller than like the AVP we're used to. So and it really, I guess, in my head, it sort of depends on who all's there. But it's like, no, not everyone's going to be there. But then that's the case for some AVPs too. So
Yeah.
I mean, to each their own.
Well,
Go
hopefully
for
the
it.
level of play is like high enough consistently on those where it's respectable. I mean, it's going to be hard to win for sure.
Yeah.
Like the level of
I think
play
it's
is
going to
already-
be like qualifier and better.
Yeah, plus maybe
And
a
the
few.
qualifier is so hard.
Yeah.
Like going to the qualifier
Yeah.
is just as fun for me as going to like Friday, Saturday, Sunday. There's just like, it's fun to see. I mean, obviously the first round you have people who are like just starting or who like maybe don't take it as seriously or play as much. But like those last games, you could see those same people playing late on Saturday. Like it's really, really high level. So that's what I'm excited for the tour series, like for fans to see that too. Because a lot of people don't know the qualifiers happening or don't see it.
And it's like, it's a qualifier. Why watch it?
Exactly.
This is an AVP tournament.
Exactly.
And if we can get a fan base on those events, then the bigger ones are going to be like massive. Right?
Yeah.
Like everyone's going to be so excited. Like
Yeah.
those can really build up the hype for the big ones.
Yeah.
And those
That's true. I
qualifiers,
hadn't really thought about
the
that.
play-in matches and qualifiers, I think you don't get that level of intensity and just emotional stakes until you get back to the AVP final.
Yeah.
Because for so many people, just
my gosh, you're
making
right.
the main draw is just,
Yeah.
it's life-changing
Yeah.
for a lot of people.
Yeah. That's very
Some people
true.
just celebrate that night. Like
Yeah.
they just go
Oh,
out
yeah.
and I'm like, you know, you have a whole tournament tomorrow.
Yeah.
Like, I don't care.
Yeah, making the
I
main
gotta
draw
celebrate.
almost feels better than winning a main draw match. Because
It's
like going
crazy.
through that qualifier is so grueling, and like you've played at least 2 matches that day.
Yeah.
So even just like physically getting to that point and then being so excited and then knowing you can lose one in the main draw is
Right.
like candy.
Yeah.
So good.
It's like you're in a hole in the qualifier and you dug yourself out and you're like, sunlight. Okay, now at least it's sunny.
Exactly.
Now in the main draw.
Everything else is fine. I can
Yeah.
breathe.
Yeah, exactly.
And you got a little bit of money behind you, so like the travel's worth
Yeah.
it.
You
So yeah.
sewed up that hole in your pocket. You're like, yes, I'm not going to lose
Exactly.
money.
I remember in Chicago, John Schwengel and Devin Berkey qualified.
Yeah.
And they were the first team not only just to win a match after coming out of the first day of the qualifier, but then they went on to qualify.
Yes.
And I saw John at the bar at like midnight. I was like,
no.
John, what are you doing? He's like, bro, I just won 6 matches in 2 days. Give me a break. He's like, we play at 9 a.m. against Casey and Chase.
Oh my gosh, that's what's so hard about those. And that's what I'm really excited for this like feeder, system with like the tour series. And then for the first 2 pro series, they're going to be AVP Next that are to be announced, I guess.
Yeah.
But like having that, not only the rest of not having to play on Thursday, but also going into that tournament with a main draw mentality. Like everything is different when you're auto main draw, and those people will be auto main draw because they've already qualified.
Yeah.
So I think that will be really interesting to see if those teams are able to like really shine or do better because they are a little fresher, their mentality is different, they had a little money to their name, that's more confidence.
Yep.
Especially because now the 4 qualifiers would have just like been done and moved on, but now the 4 qualifiers have semifinals and finals.
Yeah.
So you get more competition and you learn how to win, which
Exactly.
is something that like it's so hard to get in this sport because there's just not that much competition.
Exactly. Like learning how to play through a tournament and win a tournament
Yeah.
is a whole skill in itself that you don't get
Yes.
with the whole qualifier thing. And then everything's set against you once you get to the main draw because you just played in a qualifier.
Yeah.
So that's been our message to the qualifier teams. Like, this is a good thing. If you really want to be a part of this sport and really grow within the sport, this is a way better system for us. Or
Yeah,
for
I'm
you.
curious
Yeah.
how have the qualifier players been? Because I haven't talked to a lot of people, and if sometimes I do, I can tell they're kind of giving me like a company line because they know I might print it.
Yeah.
So I'm curious, like when you guys are just talking to people, how are people feeling about the
a
tour?
little scared about it.
It's been,
Right.
it's been like a weird mix. Some people, I think that there was some confusion because at first there were no AVP Next scheduled to qualify for New Orleans.
Right.
And, or no, not Austin, and then New Orleans.
Yeah.
And so people were like, well, we can't play till June. But I was like, no, they're coming out with AVP Next. And I think once people started to figure out that there are qualifiers, and
Yes.
now instead of single elimination qualifiers, they're full tournament AVP
Right.
Next where you can make money.
Yeah.
They're starting to think, oh, this is actually kind of sweet.
Yeah.
Yeah, and you show up to the tournament and you're like, you're seeded, and I mean, especially for the top qualifier players, like you're the 2 seed in a
Yeah.
legitimate
Yeah.
professional tournament now.
Yeah.
Like that's a whole different vibe.
Yeah.
And like experience that you're getting.
And I think for the athletes who do qualify, I think now you'll go into main draw with a totally different mindset. Because, I mean, you've been through qualifiers. Like, when you qualify, you wake up the next morning, and you're just, like, so stoked to be playing volleyball. It's like, oh, we lost.
Totally.
Whatever. We made it. Like, we won.
Yeah.
But now you're going in, and you're fresh, and it's a totally different mindset because it's a brand-new tournament. Like, you're not just coming in on house money. You're like, I have a chance to win.
Absolutely.
It's definitely going to be harder on the top seeds on the Pro Tour, for sure.
Definitely.
Like, you're not just like, yes, this guy's completely gassed from yesterday, and we're just going to smoke them.
Right,
like, God damn it. They've been like scheming, and they probably watched film, and, you know, they're
well,
ready
that's
to
fun,
go.
too. Now everybody has their seed, and, like, the draws will come out so much earlier, and so you really can watch that film and kind of predict where you might go, and I think that's really cool, too.
A lot more storylines for you to write about.
Exactly.
And, like, hype up.
I hope there's so many former players playing each other. That's my favorite thing. Like, I want a Sponcil v. Clay's first match of the year. Oh, so good. It's my favorite stuff.
How have your relationships with the players been? Because it's always a little different when you start writing about your friends.
Yeah.
And for me, I guess it was different because I came in as a writer and started playing later.
Right.
And then you started as a player and then started writing.
Yeah.
How's that kind of personal transition been?
Yeah, it's actually been, I guess, easier than I would have thought. I think it helps that, like, my job is to make them all look good.
Yeah.
Working for the AVP, it's not like investigative journalism. Like, my job is to tell these stories, to bolster people's, like, brands, to celebrate them as people. So I think it's been nice. Most everybody's been, like, really happy to contribute, and, like, you know, happy with the way that I also represented them.
Yeah.
So I think it's been great. Like, I try to really spread it because, of course, I have the people I'm closer to, but I want to, like, give everybody a chance and also, like, highlight different stories that maybe I don't know as well. So then I'm going to call this person, especially, like, obviously I'm probably friends with more girls than I am guys. So I have to reach out to the guys in a different way and, like, try to, and sometimes they're not as responsive as the women, I will say. So I just kind of have to, you know, keep extracting, trying to get them on the phone. So yeah, that's been fun. I kind of feel like I've also created new relationships through that. Like, now I have everyone's contact and I reach out and, you know, ask for comments or whatever. And it's just like a different relationship, I guess, which has been kind of fun.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I think as a player, like, it's been nice to like, know that you're that contact and, like, okay. A lot of people might ask me questions, but, like, I know I got to answer Kim's, like, specifically, because she's directly
Well,
going.
thank you. You are
AVP
very good at
or-
responding. I appreciate that. Your partner is
I'm
not.
pretty slow. Yeah, I could have told you that.
He never gets back to me.
I can't communicate with him. That's
Maybe I just need to give him some whiskey. It'll be
Oh,
fine.
whiskey, absolutely. He'll communicate.
I really need to watch and listen to that
It was
episode.
so funny,
Oh my
Kim.
God.
Like, Taylor Sander came on,
Last week's
and he was just
episode.
sitting there, and he was like, I've never seen this Trevor crowd before.
He's done it for what, like 20 years? Oh my
we
gosh.
had Taylor and we had to bring in other more chairs, and Taylor's chair was a little higher. Was it Taylor or Nick? No, it was Nick.
It was both of them, because Nick was in it, and then
Nick
Taylor came in and subbed in.
Trevor just looks at him like, "You sitting in a booster seat? They give you a booster seat, Nick?"
So good.
It's so funny.
No, he's definitely not a talker though.
No. Taylor sometimes gets back to me. I got to get him on the phone, but yeah, he's the crab that's more, you know, open.
Yeah.
But yeah.
Beach players are just funny in general, where I feel like everyone loses their phones all the time. Like Andy Benish loses
Oh my gosh,
his,
that's
I don't know
so
if you've tried to
funny.
do a story on Andy, but if you
I
text
did.
him,
He
like,
wrote it.
but don't expect anything back too soon, because we were practicing with him, and this was just so classic, and we all leave, and then Andy, like, runs and grabs Tim Brewster down the strand, and he's like, Tim, like, can you call my phone? I left it.
Oh no.
It was in a manhole. He fell down this construction thing. This construction guy answers it. It's like, hello? What? And so they found the phone, and then I went to Jordan.
Oh my gosh.
I went to Jordan Chang's bachelor party, and so I'm driving down with Jordan, and Jordan's coaching Andy and Nick Lucena now.
Oh, nice.
Yeah, and so Jordan was FaceTiming them as their first team meeting, and Andy's phone dies. And then so he goes into a 7-Eleven and is charging the phone and talking in the 7-Eleven, like sitting on the floor. And
First team meeting. Paris 2024, let's do it.
This sounds like, I should have retired.
He's like, yeah, we're building this team from the ground up.
Oh That is
From the ground of
rich.
7-Eleven up.
I mean, yeah, I will say it's a group of misfits, right? Like everybody is so interesting.
Yeah.
Like you said, they're kind of trying to avoid the 9-to-5 thing, which makes it all the more fun for me.
Yeah,
So many
totally.
And
personalities.
so many fun stories.
Yeah.
And it's just such a blast to like how did you get in the sport again?
Yeah.
Like the Reach the Beach things, I'm sure.
Yeah,
just
it's
such a
so
blast.
fun. Like, especially, Terrence from South Dakota and Ryan Doherty is like from the East Coast. Like all these people that you wouldn't really think would be introduced to it and obviously are doing so well. So that's really fun too. Like, yeah, different states. I mean, I'm from Indiana. I did not imagine beach volleyball to be a part of my life. And now it
Right.
is my life.
Yeah.
But have you always been a writer?
No, so my major is hospitality and culinary. I went to culinary school first, played volleyball in Chicago, and then realized I didn't really want to work in a kitchen. I learned a ton. I still use it all the time, but if you work in a restaurant, you're working on holidays and weekends
And
and
you
like,
get paid crap.
yeah, you have to put in a lot of grunt work, which I am not that person. I'm way too prissy for that.
Plus you have to stand for so long.
Oh
That's the
yeah,
one thing.
and
Yeah,
everything's
it's
like not for tall people. So
Right,
then
yeah.
you're like a little bit hunched over.
Yeah.
It's not great, and you have to wear really ugly clogs. So after 2 years, I transferred to Miami, did hospitality. Thought I was going to do like event producing, which I actually did up until the pandemic. I used to go to New York every year and produce the Wine
cool.
and Food Festival, which was really fun.
Oh, right.
Not the whole thing, like just a few events in it. But anyway, I didn't really plan on ever writing. I've always loved books. And one of my friends was starting like a local magazine in Manhattan Beach and needed a content coordinator. So I basically did like a resident feature every month, just kind of what I do now when I interview athletes. Just, I don't ever go in with questions. I'm just kind of like, tell me about your life. And it just flows.
Right.
And I would write something from that and then do a few different business profiles, stuff like that. And worked for him there for like 2 years. And then we transitioned and are doing like digital marketing and social media. I still work for him there and doing like Instagram captions, blogs, different stuff for different companies. And then the AVP happened like kind of in the middle of that.
Okay.
So I guess when I wrote my first piece for them, they liked it. And so when they were looking for someone, they just reached out and said this would be a good fit. And so kind of spiraled from there. So yeah, it all happened very randomly.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But that's just the sport of beach volleyball. Like
Yeah.
it's all so much randomness.
Yeah.
It's great.
I know. It's been really fun and definitely did not start out very well. My very first story was on Holly McPeak. And I apologize, Holly. I don't think I did a very good job. Just wasn't a good writer yet. And I should redo something on her. Something.
I saw her on CBS yesterday randomly.
Really? I feel like I bump into her all the time.
Yeah.
Like, especially Manhattan Beach.
South Bay.
Yeah.
This world's just so small.
Yes.
It was
Like
so
a little high
funny.
school.
Yeah. When my buddies, I had 2 friends come in town from Maryland, and we were walking up and down the Strand, and so we stopped by 21st and saw Taylor Sander, Tim Hovland, and then we ran
Those
into
3 right there is just...
Yeah.
and they were cracking up because Hov just every other word
weekend?
was the F word, talking trash.
Oh, yeah.
and
He's
a fun
drinks
guy.
were flowing, and
Of course.
And then on the way back, we passed Angie Akers, and I was like, "Well, you guys saw 3 Olympians and one of the greatest players
Yeah.
to ever play beach volleyball."
Yeah.
And we're like, "What?
It's pretty cool.
This is."
I
what
remember, like,
Yeah.
so I moved here in January of 2015, and somehow my dad had some connection to April Ross and set up a dinner. So I drove here with my dad across the country in my SUV, got here on the 4th. The night of the 5th, I had dinner with April Ross. And it was just like the coolest. She was so kind. She told me everything. I didn't know what the CBVA was. I didn't know what the FIVB was. She was telling me all this stuff, all the different levels, where I should start. She told me about the USA Development Program that was starting that year, which changed my life because I got in, and that's where I met everybody, including Holly McPeak.
What year was that?
2015.
15. Okay, got you. Yeah.
Yeah. I don't know if it was their first year, but I think they did it 2 years, and it was my first 2 years here.
We had a guys program, the EDP one.
Yes, that was EDP.
Yeah, we had
But
that
I think
one,
yours lasted
wow.
longer than ours.
Yeah, because mine was started in like 2012 or something
Oh, okay, yeah.
with Alzina.
Nice.
But yeah.
Yeah, we had Holly McPeak and Barb Fontana, so it was just
Those are great programs,
amazing.
by the way.
Yeah.
They don't have them anymore, right?
I know. And it was like, I think the athletes had to pay $200, and it was like 6 weeks of, no, I think it was even more. I think it was like 12 weeks of coaching 3 days a week. I had no idea how amazing that was.
Yeah.
Like, I hardly even knew what the sport was. Great competition. I was playing against, like, Irene and Caitlin were together at the time, and, like, Emily Stockman, Amanda Dowdy, and Nicole Brenna would come. Like, it was amazing. I didn't know who any of these people were. I did not belong. I really only think I got in because I was 6'3". And, like, I know how to play. I'm good at indoor.
Yeah.
Right.
I've always been better at indoor than beach, so I should have maybe stuck with that, but I really like beach. So I had, like, I had the hitting and the blocking sort of down, but even that timing.
Yeah.
But, I mean, my serve receive was atrocious. Jose Loiola came one day and, like, guest coached, and he was just like, "You're at the Elite Development Pro. What are you doing?" Like, pass him. I'm just like, oh, my gosh. I'm so embarrassed.
You should have heard him today.
Oh, yeah? Doing that to you?
No, actually, it was Trevor. It was great.
It was windy today, though.
It was terrible today.
Oh, I saw a video.
We looked terrible today.
I did not go out to the beach
No one
today.
looked good today.
So, yeah, that was 2015, and, like, meeting April the very first day, and then she invited me to practice with her. And it was her and Whitney Pavlik, and we were just kind of, like, bumming around, having fun. Like, it wasn't crazy, but I was like, what is my life? That was 3 days after I moved to California. And then since then, I mean, everybody's so down to earth.
Yeah.
I mean, just meeting, like, the most stellar volleyball players, and none of them, I guess I shouldn't say none. I haven't met everybody. Everyone I have met has been, like, really down to earth, humble, kind, and open.
Yeah.
There's not a lot of, like, elitism that I've really experienced.
Yeah, I don't think so. I think we always talk about on the show, like, just go to the beach and watch some of the best players in the world practice. Like, you can't do that with basketball or anything.
No,
and
it's
not,
so
no one's
accessible.
Gonna kick you off the beach, especially if you run over and grab a few balls and throw it in the basket. They're gonna be like, "Oh, thank you, you're saving us." I mean, it's
so
not
true.
automatically going to turn into you, like, getting reps, but it very well could, you know.
Yeah.
Or if anything, you're just learning something. Jose, if you're standing near the court, Jose, like, puts you to work.
Really?
He'll like ask for your opinion. Like, someone's just standing there. Yeah, what do you think? What do you think? I'm like, they don't play volleyball, Jose. He's like, no, but we need the perspective. We got it. I'm like, all right, that's fair.
That's what Troy Field did that.
I basically
when
did
he
that
was
with
just
Hayden.
coming up. He's like he was losing in like double A's, and this is when Jake and Taylor were just starting.
Yeah.
And he went out and shagged balls for him and Marcio.
Yep.
And it was just like, I just want to learn from you guys.
Doherty
That's
kind of
smart.
did that too. Doherty walked down
Yeah.
the beach and saw Casey and them playing, I think.
Yeah.
Right?
And that was Tremblay and Gary Schreiber,
Okay, yeah.
Jake and Casey. That
Right.
crew was down there. Yeah.
Yeah. And then I hit up Sean Scott, who gave me Hayden's number.
Yeah.
And that's how I got in with Hayden. Just literally, I was like, you need practice reps? I'll come get reps with you.
That's awesome.
He's like, sure, whatever. I don't care. And then that was like my tryout.
That's amazing. Did
Yeah.
you know it was a tryout?
No, not at all. Like months in, we're like practicing. Now in hindsight, I'm like, I don't know how I didn't figure it out. But like, it was like weeks or months in. And then after one of practices, he's like, all right, let's give it a shot. Like, I'm down to roll with you. I was like, what? That's an option?
Talking to me?
Oh, shit. All right. And it all changed from there.
Well, that's pretty great.
It's awesome.
Yeah.
Did you ever set any goals as a player? Like when you came out here, I mean, getting to practice with April Ross within your first couple of days, you're like,
That's amazing.
damn, I could do something.
Yeah. I definitely had big dreams.
Yeah.
Took me, just because I was middle and all throughout college, I did never play back row. Learning serve, receive, and setting was definitely my downfall. I had all the basics. I was good probably 80% of the time, but that 20% is why you lose.
Right, yeah.
So I was losing. I mean, that first year, I think I only went to like 4 AVPs because I couldn't really make it to the other ones. I was nannying and like traveling, doing other stuff, like only kind of halfway in with beach volleyball. 2016, I did a little bit more. I qualified for my first time Manhattan Beach Open that year. And then 2017, the family I was nannying for moved to Seattle. And it was at the very beginning of the summer. I had enough money to get me through, and I was like, okay, I'm going to focus just on volleyball.
Yeah.
And that was kind of when I guess I set the most goals. I had like a consistent coach. I was playing with Cece Zhang, who's an Olympian, who's like the best player I've ever played with by far.
How'd you get hooked up with her?
So she was being coached by my coach, Heather Lowe.
Okay.
And like she played with Nicole Brenna in the first tournament. They're both defenders. So they didn't do as well as they wanted
is that
to.
the Chinese?
Yeah.
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
So
Really good.
I played with her. My first tournament with her was Austin, and we qualified. the problem with me in that scenario is I wasn't good at setting enough yet, and she's a lefty, so I was really struggling with getting her in the right spot. We would qualify, win our first game. We kept winning our first game, and then we would, like, lose. And it was definitely a mentality of mine. Like, I couldn't push through. I didn't know how to win yet. Yeah. That's one of the things I'm so excited about this, like these newcomers learning how to win. I hadn't gone deep in a tournament ever.
Right.
Even CBVAs, I was like, once I got to playoffs, I had been sitting and not doing anything for 3 hours. You get to playoffs, it's super windy, you lose.
Yep.
And I just wasn't good enough to play with her yet. So that's like one, I guess, like regret of mine, I guess, is that I wasn't better when I was playing with her because she was so good. We did okay. We got like 4 ninths that year, I think, together. And she's what really helped me get into the main draw. So once I did that, like my next year, I really wanted to play for USA. Kenzie Ponnett and I qualified for the Norseca. So we went and played in 2 tournaments in Mexico and 1 in Cuba. And that was like the time of our lives. It was so fun. And I had some success with her that year. So I guess goals, yeah, my goal was to win an AVP or to go to the Olympics. But I never really did like what I knew I needed to, and I think it's because I knew deep down that that wasn't really my path.
Yeah.
So I like did everything I needed to do to kind of like be middle of the pack, which is what I ended up getting. So I guess like the work I put in is what I got out. And yeah, I think that gives me a great perspective of like I worked really hard, but I didn't work hard enough. Yeah. And like I know the people that are where like further ahead of me, how hard they're working. Mm-hmm. Like I lived with Sarah Sponcil for 2 years. Oh my gosh. She is like dawn till dusk volleyball and like loves it. I mean, she's always like, even when she wakes up, it's like journaling, but then she has the same breakfast every morning and then goes and does practice and comes back for like a second and then goes to the gym and then gets treatment and then does film. Like it's so constant. It really is a full-time job. And even though I never got to the point where I could really make that my life, I also know living with Sarah was another huge eye-opener. So I was like, this is the pinnacle of what I'm going for, and I don't know if I want that.
Right,
I don't know if that's my dream.
Yeah.
But looking at Ryder, like, I would love to be Stephen King. Like, that is my dream. So maybe that's where I should be. And, like, people like Sarah and people like you, people who really want to stay in the sport, like, I have so much respect for that.
Yeah.
What a fun house.
It was really fun. It was me, Sarah, and Katie Spieler for a while.
Oh, wow.
That was really fun. Very volleyball heavy.
Yeah.
We actually did a really good job of not talking about it too much. It was during COVID, so there wasn't that much to talk about.
Right.
And I wasn't playing, and like Sarah and Katie are competitors, but they're both so nice and they like each other,
sure,
so it didn't really matter that much. And it was during Champions Cup series, so I think Katie was in the qualifier, and so they actually weren't. Yeah, they weren't. Oh, did they ever qualify?
No, I think they made the last round twice.
Yeah. So that kind of helped our house that they were never like playing each other.
Right.
But even that, I don't think it would have mattered. Like it was, if people are doing it right, they really look at it as a business. Yeah. And I know like a lot of women who are like Emily Stockman and Sponcil are great friends. Like, and obviously have played each other a million times and like it's completely fine.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, you got to be down for the lifestyle for sure.
Yeah.
And I think a lot of people don't realize that. They're just kind of like, I want it, so it's going to happen.
Yeah.
Yeah, but
manifest
it's grueling.
Yeah.
It can be really relaxed, but you have to be okay with not getting where you probably want to go, which is kind of what like my life was. It wasn't necessarily relaxed playing, but I definitely like didn't do everything I needed to do necessarily. And I had like a great career in my mind because I was always having so much fun. Right. And like I had a few successful tournaments and I feel pretty good about that. Yeah.
It sounds like you left it with no regrets.
Yeah.
You did a comfortable amount.
I think the only like regret I have is that I didn't know my last tournament was my last tournament.
Okay.
So that's the only thing that kind of like I sort of wish I would have known. But then there's so many things that go with that. Like maybe I would have felt differently about it or something. It's also kind of nice I didn't know it was my last tournament because then it was like, oh, I didn't grieve it, which I did have to take kind of a period to grieve it because I stopped playing like professionally in my mind, but I was still sort of training as exercise and my social life. I realized like how much I love all the women I play with and during COVID, how much I missed them. So I just started playing with people, and then after, I don't even know how long, like maybe 4 or 5 months ago, I was kind of like, okay, I think I need to take a break and not play, because it is like, I've been playing volleyball since I was 10.
Right.
Yeah.
And now I'm not. Like, that's not, like, it wasn't ever my identity. I really worked on it not being, but definitely was a huge part of my life. And now it's just so different. I needed that transition period. And I'm sort of feeling like I might be on the other side of that soon and ready to play just for fun.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Nice.
Do you and Mark ever play?
We play reverse co-ed.
Okay.
It's actually not so bad. The only problem with reverse co-ed is, like, the guy has to hit behind, like, the 10-foot line.
Wait, what's reverse co-ed?
So it's the girl blocks and the guy plays
gotcha.
back row.
Okay.
And, like, there's a reverse co-ed tournament every year that happens around Thanksgiving, and it's, like, really fun down at 2nd Street.
I would play that.
Women's night?
It's really fun. I think it's a co-ed or women's. So I think it might be women's.
Okay.
Because we're allowed to do anything. Men have to jump behind the 10-foot line. Mark never does that. So he, like, it's frustrating because he'll either, like, not jump, or I don't know how to set him right. And then other people are, like, amazing at it. Like, they've been training him, like, so much. And so they're just, like, whooping our butts. But we have a lot of fun playing it. It's fun for us, too, because he's a defender, I'm a blocker.
Yeah.
So we kind of get to do our
perfect.
thing, too. Yeah, so that's fun. But yeah, we don't really play that much. He plays every once in a while.
Okay. I saw him out there, maybe like 2nd Street.
Yeah, he
Maybe
plays with
yesterday or
a
a
group of
couple days
guys.
ago?
Yeah,
Yeah.
like Kevin Lynch and Tristan. Yeah, they go out and have fun.
Love it. What's Katie Spieler up to now? How's she doing?
I saw that she just became a realtor. So she moved back to Santa Barbara when she got hurt.
Right.
So that was, like summer of last year?
She tore ACL at Pottstown. So
Yeah.
it's like
Was she
June.
playing with Delaney?
No, she was playing with Emily Harton.
That's right.
And they were rolling.
Oh my
And
gosh.
I think, not Delaney, Katie, I think she came down on someone's foot under the net.
Oh.
And that was it.
Oh my gosh, it's awful. Because, like, you know Katie, she is always on the move.
Mm-hmm.
So I can only imagine, like, how devastating that must have felt.
Did you see that she had Kara, her sister, like
Oh, yeah.
carrying her through the break, and then she'd go swim with them, like torn ACL.
Yeah.
It's just out ocean water swimming, and then to come back in, like she get carried back in.
I
She's
don't.
a superhero.
She really is. Like, even I talked to her like about a recovery piece I was working on, and she said, yeah, the first, like, right after surgery, I was in the gym like 4 times a week. I was like, I'm sorry, what? Like, she was doing PT like 4 hours a day. I mean, she's so dedicated. She's in Santa Barbara doing her club, and I think she's a realtor. So I think she's maybe trying to do something else, but also play volleyball. I know she definitely wants to come back.
Right.
She's getting a lot stronger, she said, and, like, kind of said, you know, this injury helped me realize that, like, I was playing so much volleyball and not doing, like, the stuff in the gym that I needed to do. So she's going to kind of take the John Hayden method and work more in the gym and a little bit less on the beach and see what happens. So, yeah, I expect to see her out there this summer.
I feel like that usually works, especially once when you're like type of players that's at that point in your career. It's like, yeah, you've played pickup, like you've done that.
Yeah.
It's not going to get you that much further. It's like
Yeah.
strength.
Katie was traveling to every tournament,
I know.
all the grass tournaments, like forest tournaments, just because she loves it.
Yeah.
Like, she truly loves it. And so, like, I think that's probably something she might miss in this, like, if she decides to kind of focus less on that. But,
Yeah.
yeah, it's all about priorities,
It's the thing to do when you're younger, and then you have to kind of shift. Because, like, when we would ask that question at the end of every episode, we'd ask, like, what was the question?
What piece of advice would you give an up-and-coming beach volleyball player?
Everyone's like, just play. But we never really, like, emphasize, like,
once
that's
you're not
That's funny.
up-and-coming anymore.
Totally. You got to get your 10,000 hours in, and then you have to, like, transition into the fine-tuning.
Yeah, fine-tuning and trying to master the small skills.
Yeah.
And keeping the body fresh because you're playing so much.
Yeah.
And you're actually, part of your job is to not play.
Yeah.
Right? Like,
Just
stop
to rest.
playing.
The rest. Yeah.
Don't play.
And, like, appreciating the off season. I always, like, I tried to take time off and would be a little bit stressed out when people were asking me to play in November. I'm like, what are you doing? You need to, like, relax.
I'm so
Also,
good
a
at
mental break.
Yeah.
Like, even if you think it's so fun, you're going to hit a wall, and you don't want to hit a wall in the middle of season.
Yeah.
So force yourself to do it. That would be my piece of advice, probably. Play, but, like, make sure you have a life and like do something else too.
Yeah, it's good. Like, I think we're all kind of addicted to activity. Like, you get to the end of the season, you can't just stop moving. Like, you need to get up and do something. But to have something other than volleyball to do and that you enjoy, like for me, I've been lucky enough to have surfing or whatever, all these other things. And I have no problem. Like, I'm the guy that always says no to volleyball. I had to force myself to play in some fun ones finally. Yeah. Down at 21st, I'm down there. I bike by all the time. Stop by for 5 minutes. I haven't played once.
Nice.
And it's not a problem at all for me. I'm like, hell no, I'm not playing volleyball. It's the weekend.
Yeah.
Like, volleyball is a job for me.
Yeah.
Which kind of sounds bad because, like, everyone's like, I want to keep it as my thing that I love and blah, blah, blah. But if it's your job, it's your job.
Yeah.
And if you love it as your job, then you love your job. And that's awesome.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Well, it's kind of similar with writing, right? Yeah. Like, we write for fun, but we also write for work. So it's like the different. Sometimes I love what I'm doing when I write, and sometimes I'm like, oh, I got to do this thing. I don't want to. But it's like everybody does that, including in volleyball. Oh, I don't want to go to lift today. Like, we all got to do it. So, yeah, I definitely.
Yeah, right. Yeah, like, I don't think I'm going to lift. Everyone's sees me doing all these crazy workouts. Oh, he's like a gym rat. I'm like, no, not me. I'm not going to go to the gym after volleyball probably.
Yeah.
Like, it works. So that's why I go.
Yeah.
But I don't need to be looking like what I look like isn't going to be a big deal.
Right.
Right.
I'll probably just be outdoors playing sports, whatever. Yeah. Maybe I'll play volleyball. I don't know. For fun.
Yeah.
Maybe I'll finally play at 21st.
Exactly. Yeah.
That's amazing.
Exactly.
Yeah. Full circle.
I just read this book that Casey recommended, The Art of the Impossible. Have you heard of this author, Stephen Kotler?
No.
He wrote, I think you might have one of his books over there. But he said that you need to put in recovery as work.
Yes.
Like, that's part of your job. 100%. And I was like, oh, wow. So I could sleep in as part of recovering of playing beach volleyball.
Oh, for sure. I use that line on Gabby all the time.
Babe, I'm working.
Sorry, I can't get... You got to wake up with the baby. Yeah, only slept for 7.5 hours so far. Got to work for another hour.
I bet she loved that.
Something to that extent.
Yeah.
That's not exactly.
A little different when you're a parent, I'm guessing.
No, but it's true. It's like, I just did this whole week of work on my body. Like, if I don't recover it, I'm not utilizing, or I'm not like gaining all the gains that I just, gave myself.
And I think that's something a lot of players get with like age and experience, that a lot of those younger players, first of all, their bodies are so resilient, so they don't think they need it. But like, that's a habit you have to learn too, so that you establish that before your body breaks down. Because it's hard. Like, if you want to go out and have fun, especially here, the weekends are so fun going out and playing. I definitely did that. Like, I can't drink and play. I don't know how people do that. But even just going out and like playing side out, or sitting and watching people, going to 16th Street, going to 21st, it's so fun. But I think that mental break was really big for me.
Yeah.
And I've always liked when I kind of have two things I can balance, like volleyball and academia and school, or volleyball and then writing. Like, once I started working for the magazine, that was better for me because I'm not like overthinking one thing. Like we were talking about with the wedding, like I can overthink things. So like, better just to have one thing I can focus on here and sort of put this on the shelf.
Yeah.
That's good for me, at least.
Sure. Yeah. We mentioned that Stephen King, you'd love to be Stephen King. Do we have any books in the work, Kim?
I am writing a book. Okay. It is slow moving. Still kind of trying to figure out what I want to do with it, and it's fun. I wrote like all of this stuff. I have like 80,000 words. Now I'm going back to the beginning and like slotting it in, because the story keeps changing. Yeah. Kind of changing as I change, but also I wanted to make just as I learn different things, or like make it less about my life and like more fictional or whatever. So I don't know. What about you?
So is it? Yeah, I'm working.
Another book coming?
Oh yeah, I just finished the third draft of one.
Nice.
On beach volleyball.
Sweet.
Of when it became a professional sport. The first professional tournament was in '76, and then how it got into the Olympics in that 20-year span.
That's nice.
It's been super fun.
I'm sure.
Yeah.
A lot of interviews?
A lot.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's like more than 100 by this
wow.
point. Yeah.
Do you pair them with SANDCAST? Do the both?
Some of them. So, because this has been like a long... I've had it like on the back burner for a while.
Yeah.
And then I sort of had a ton of free time, like the last 3 months, really, before we started training again. I started really revisiting it, and it's been a blast to work on.
Yeah.
Especially just because hanging out with Sinjin and hearing his thoughts, and Dodd and Hav and and Kent Steffes and all these guys that are just the greatest winners the sport has ever seen, and just understanding what they're going through. It's been really fun.
That's really cool.
Yeah.
Yeah. Do you want to do other books other than volleyball?
I just kind of write on whatever period of I'm going through in life.
Yeah.
So the first one I wrote was golf, and then basketball, and then volleyball.
Right.
And we had milkshakes, which was a blast.
So good.
And you got the first read on that.
I know, I did.
Nicolette.
I know. I still have Greg Delgado's copy. For some reason, I have it. It's signed by you guys. He was like, I need to get that back. I'm like, I have it. It's safe. It's on my bookshelf. I'll bring it to you.
We'll have to send you a copy.
Yes.
We got one here.
Yeah, there's probably one on the shelf somewhere.
I need it.
Yeah, I'm doing Zoom calls with kindergarten classes all the time now.
That's so
amazing.
fun.
Yeah, well, I mean, not all the time, but I've
regularly
done a bunch.
though.
Yeah, that's fun.
It's pretty hilarious. They're right up my alley. Those kids. They make me read a little bit, a little excerpt from it. And I'm like, oh, good thing it's just these kids.
No pressure.
Reading out loud is not great for me.
Yeah. Reading out loud is hard.
It is hard.
Yeah.
But they're asking me questions and reading them, and missing words and stuff. I'm like, okay, perfect.
Yeah.
This is my crowd.
Well, that's good. I'm glad you seem to be very at peace with where you left as a player, and stoked on where you're at now, and getting married, which is exciting. Just onward and upward, Kim.
I know. Things are looking good right now. I'm having a lot of fun.
Yeah, it sounds like it.
Yeah.
Thanks for coming on.
Thanks for having me. This was fun.
Appreciate it. Looking forward to this season, hanging out more.
I know, me too.
Hopefully we have some good storylines.
Yeah.
I know.
And where can listeners find the stories?
It's all on avp.com/trending. That's all the articles. And then if you follow AVP on the AVP Instagram, a lot of times they'll, a few days after it's posted, kind of hype it on there and direct people to it. Mm-hmm. So kind of those two things. And the newsletters, they come out there. And actually, newsletters, this isn't even me trying to hype something. I would definitely, if anybody's an AVP fan, sign up for the newsletters, because that's where you're going to get ticket information. That's when point stuff will be announced, everything. Well, the points will come to the athletes too first, but fans and stuff who are interested, that's where they'll get all of the information too.
They just came out with a new membership tier.
Yeah, there's something with deals. I don't know. There's so much stuff that I don't know, because it's I don't need to know. So then I find out and I'm like, oh my gosh, I'm signing up for this. Hotels, yes.
Yeah, right.
So I get excited for all this stuff. I feel like a fan.
I love it. Well, awesome. Well, everyone listening, give her stuff a read.
Yeah.
The last article was good too. It explained the 4 tiers, right?
Yeah.
I like that.
Yeah. That was kind of what my first article was about. Me being in the 3rd tier and trying to move up. And I referenced it all the time. But it's the article itself is sort of not irrelevant, but I'm not playing anymore, and it was all about me, and I'm like, okay, I need to do something separate. And now also with the 3 series, kind of the tiered series, I was like, okay, this is perfect. I have to write its own thing, reestablish it. So that was really fun, because that's kind of I don't know, that's my belief system about volleyball. There's all these different tiers you want to move up.
I thought it was a good, accurate portrayal of it. And I think a lot of fans don't understand it. So it's pretty perfect. I thought there was going to be a list. I was like, oh, let's see if I made the list.
Oh my gosh. We actually talked about that. I was like, I only feel comfortable doing tier 1.
Right.
Beyond that, I do not want to define who's in what category. So we were just like, okay, we'll just leave it.
We always
to
talk
the
about,
imagination.
There's so many people Travis can't really be the Stephen A. Smith of our sport, where we're just throwing out this crazy stuff and half the people are going to hate him. You can't do that with the AVP, but we do need one of those.
We do.
We need someone who is not a
Trevor
player,
Crabb,
or who has been a player.
A Trevor Crabb of the media.
We got to get someone who's recently retired.
Someone whose social life is outside of beach volleyball.
Right, yeah.
Once Nick retires, I think he'd be really good too.
Lucena?
Yeah.
No,
I feel
he's too nice.
He is.
Oh, he's so nice, but he's very honest.
Right, that's true.
I think that maybe he wouldn't be as mean as he would have to be, but I think he'll call people out.
I think Hayden would.
Yeah, Hayden would be
He'd
good.
be the king.
But he won't write it. You're gonna have to ghost write.
Yeah. That's why I love Hav. When Hav was playing, even now, It's like, oh, him? He's dog shit.
Yeah.
Maybe we've seen him.
Yeah, maybe we just do Hob.
It's like, well, Hob, we can't write the dog shit tier of the
Yeah.
AVP. We're going to think of a different name.
This is a 5th tier. It's sort of an imaginary one.
Just
few
won
asterisks.
the tournament, Hob. Complete shit.
Well, I wasn't in it.
Yeah. It didn't beat me.
I always wonder people like that say everybody's terrible. Like,
Yeah.
first of all, what do you think of me?
Right,
Second of
yeah.
all, who's not terrible?
Yeah.
Like, you're not giving me any of those people.
Yeah.
Yeah. I love the personalities in the sport.
It's
Yeah.
so good. It's definitely a mixed bag.
Good stuff. Thanks, Kim.
Yeah, thanks for having me. This
Hey,
was fun.
Congrats again on the
Thank
engagement.
you.
Exciting
Thank you.
times.
Yeah, congrats.
Shoots.
Shoots.